Hello guys, my name is Desmond and I welcome you to my YouTube channel. So ladies and gentlemen, for today's lesson, we'll be looking at question 2, where we simplify without the use of a calculator. Okay, I hope you will enjoy this lesson, and most importantly guys, I'll make sure that not only do I show you how to answer these questions, but most importantly how to approach this type of questions. Okay, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. I've actually done this lesson, but it was a live lesson, so I've just noticed that it wasn't clear, it was a bit blurry, but otherwise one of my learners actually requested that I redo this lesson because they thought it was very informative and it would worth it if they can have a clear lesson. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, we'll just start with the first question. So if you haven't subscribed, please do make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification to be notified of our future uploads. Guys, if you've got any questions, suggestions, you can just post on the comment section. Okay, so the first question is simplify fully without using a calculator. Okay, very much important guys. So this lesson is actually suitable for grade 10s, 11 and 12. Okay, reason to that is because it's not only about me answering or showing you how to answer these questions, but most importantly how to interpret the questions, how to analyze the questions, how to map your approach, and again how to visualize your final answer. Okay, and most importantly guys, we simplify fully without using a calculator, but I'm going to show you some tricks in which you can get away with this type of questions by using a calculator. Okay, so you only use a calculator to shorten the time you spend on each and every question, not necessarily using the calculator to answer the question. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, our first question, 2.1, they say simplify fully without using a calculator, and this question is allocated 4 marks. Okay, so just write down that information and I hope you can clearly see. So question 2, 2.1 says simplify fully without using a calculator, and we're given 3 to the exponent m plus 4 minus 6 multiplied by 3 to the exponent m plus 1 all over 7 multiplied by 3 to the exponent m plus 2. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very much important. I would advise you to firstly think about this question, guys. Before you even start, try to think about this question, and most importantly try to map your approach. Okay, remember this question is allocated 4 marks. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't necessarily mean that the question is difficult. It doesn't necessarily mean that the question is tricky. There's nothing tricky. You just apply all the mathematical rules. Okay, I've done a lesson where I was teaching the basic rules of maths. Okay, so for you to successfully answer this question, you need to be well aware of those basic rules. So if you go to my YouTube channel under playlist and you click, I think it's free live online lessons. If you click there and scroll down, there should be a lesson where I teach basic math rules. Okay, so those are the rules that we'll be applying in this question as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see at the top you've got 2 terms. Okay, this is term 1 and the whole of this is term 2. At the bottom you've got only 1 term. Okay, remember I've indicated in that lesson where I was teaching the basic rules that a term is separated by a sign or a plus or a minus. Okay, so if you've got a number and in between you've got a sign of a positive or a sign of a negative, then it means you've got 2 or more terms in between. Depending on how many of these signs you've got in between, the terms that you'll be given. And most importantly, guys, I think I should emphasize this point that we've got an expression and equation. If you've got something to write, just write expression and equation. Okay, so for now I won't go deep into explaining this. I'll just reminding you, if you want to learn more about the difference between expression and equation, I would advise you to go and watch that lesson. Okay, so for now let's start with answering our question. Okay, so remember guys, I noticed there's a rule that I'm going to apply there. Okay, remember, a to the exponent m plus, let's say, n. Okay, just as an example, this is the same as a to the exponent m multiplied by a to the exponent n. Okay, very, very much important, guys. Why is this equal to that? Remember, because of the bases are the same. Okay, when the bases are the same, then you add the exponents. Okay, but otherwise, if you have something similar to this, because you know you are adding the exponents, that means originally this was something looking like that. Okay, so if you have got y to the exponent 2 plus 7 as an example, that means if you expand this, or if you try to write this thing in its original form, or the reverse of this thing is the same as y to the exponent 2 multiplied by y to the exponent 7. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important that you learn these basic rules. Okay, because with the knowledge of these simple basic rules, they will they will help you to score 4 marks. Okay, I know, guys, I know how a student or a learner thinks. Someone is asking themselves, what if it was a to the exponent m minus 2? Okay, because they can see it's a plus, it's a plus, it's a plus. And I know someone is asking themselves, what if it was a minus there? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very much important. If you have got a minus there, it means you have a to the exponent m over a to the exponent 2. Okay, very, very much important, guys. Remember, it's either you are given something like that or you're given something like this. So it's very, 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 very much important that you understand that for this to be like that is because it was something like that. Okay, for example, y to the exponent x minus, let's say, z. Okay, so this means you've got the same basis, very much important. And in terms of the exponents, this should be the place of x, this should be the place of y. Okay, so if you write this in that form, you know it's y, which represents this same basis. Then you start with the first exponent there, then you subtract z. Okay, very, very much important, guys. So when it comes to this part where you need to simplify without using a calculator, take this as an advice, guys. It's either you write the reverse of this or the reverse of that, or you expand something similar or closer to that. Okay, so our first step, ladies and gentlemen, can we try to apply that basic rule? So that means you've got 3 to the exponent m multiplied by 3 to the exponent 4. Do you agree? I assume we are all on the same page, guys. Then you subtract. Okay, this is that minus. Very, very much important. You've got 6 multiplied by. Remember, guys, a multiplication can be either in the form of a dot, in the form of a multiplication sign, or the brackets. Okay, normally we use this one of a dot in case you've got, let's say, 2x. Okay, very, very much important, guys. Why do we put a dot instead of a multiplication sign? Remember, some of you, I'm sure you write a multiplication like that, and again you write x like that. Okay, so it seems as if it's 2xx, whereas in your mind you're writing 2 multiplied by x. Okay, so that's why we use a dot when you multiply a number and a letter. Okay, and again you can just decide to write 2y. We know in between we've got a dot, which means this is 2, which is a number, multiplied by a letter. Okay, very much important, guys. So if you're multiplying only the numbers, then you can just say 2 multiplied by 2. You can use that one, okay? Because now if you use a dot, it seems as if you've got 4,5. Okay, very, very much important, guys. When you're multiplying the numbers, you multiply by using that multiplication sign, okay? Most importantly, guys, when you substitute, that's when you use the brackets. Okay, let's say you had something like xy and you want to substitute a y with, what is it, 2. Okay, so this is where you can just say 2 into 2, not necessarily 2 but x into 2. Okay, I hope, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't confuse you with that, and I hope you fully understand. Okay, so remember, if you get confused along the way, just comment immediately so that I give you that urgent attention, because the advantage of watching these lessons while they are premiering is because the moment you send a question, a suggestion, or anything related to that particular lesson, I'm going to surely give you that urgent attention. Okay, so now let's move to that part. So I assume you understand this is a multiplication. Then of course 3 to the exponent m multiplied by 3 to the exponent 1. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to the bottom part of that expression. Okay, remember, I think I've told you to write a expression and equation. I think it's worth it that I explain to you the difference between those two, just as a reminder. I won't go deep into explaining because I've already done that lesson, and I would advise you to watch that lesson from the start up until the end. I can promise you guys, you will thank yourself in the end. So now, guys, we've got just one term there. Why? Because we haven't got any sign of positive or negative in between. So that means the whole of these is just one term. Okay, so we've got 7 multiplied by this is 3 to the exponent m multiplied by 3 to the exponent 2. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you can see that what we're actually doing is just to expand that 3 to the power something in a different form, of which is still the same, okay, by just applying those basic rules. So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we've got 3 to the exponent m, we've got 3 to the exponent m there. Okay, can we not take out that 3 to the exponent m as a common factor? Okay, so you've got 3 to the exponent m into 3 to the exponent 4 minus 6 multiplied by 3 to the exponent 1, which is the same as 3. Okay, I assume we're all on the same page here, guys. So you've got 7 multiplied by 3 to the exponent m multiplied by, what is 3 to the exponent 2, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's 9. Okay, if it's 9, let's just write 9. Okay, so now let's move to the third step. Okay, very, very much important, guys. I hope you're able to see that this cancels with that. Okay, very, very much important, guys. Very, very much important that you notice and you know exactly what you're doing. Okay, so the main aim was to try and remove the 3 to the exponent m so that we remain with only the numbers. The moment we remain with the numbers, then we know we are now in primary. Okay, so let's now write what is remaining. So it means we are remaining with that and this and also these two. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what is 3 to the exponent 4? So this is where I was saying you can get away with this type of questions where you use a calculator, even though they said you mustn't use a calculator. Okay, so if you use a calculator, ladies and gentlemen, if someone uses a calculator, they are going to punch the whole of this and just write the final answer. Okay, so that's where you're going to lose some marks. That's why they say simplify fully without using a calculator. Okay, they want you to show all of the steps. Very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now you've got 3 to the exponent 4. You can just punch it on a calculator and you get 81. Okay, so that means you've got 81. You subtract, I know this times this is 15, times 3, 1 times 3 is 18. So this is 18, ladies and gentlemen. I've tried to use my head there, not because I'm good with numbers, but I just remember that one. It's simple. So this is what I might fail to do it by head. Then I'm just going to punch 7 multiplied by 9, which is equals to 63. Okay, very, very much important, guys. So now, what is this 18 minus, 81 minus 18. So let's see, 81 minus 18, it's equals to 63. Very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. So it's more like we've got 63 divided by 63, which is obviously equals to 1. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is how you solve this question. Okay, remember it's allocated 4 marks. So this is where you're going to score your first mark, this is where you're going to score your mark, and this is where they give you a mark. No need to give you a mark for that. And this is where you score your last 4th mark. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this part of the question. So now let's get ready to move to the next question. If you've got a glass of water, this is an opportunity for you to just quickly drink some water. Okay, so I'm going to just wipe all of this. And remember, guys, I'm going to make this lesson available because I assume the audio is 100%. And again, you are able to understand clearly what I'm saying. Okay, let me just try use different marker, 2.2. So that means we'll be starting now with 2.2.1. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important that you understand this type of questions, because if you don't, then you won't be able to tackle any question related to this. Okay, so this is a paper 1, a question paper. So you only find this type of questions in paper 1 of mathematics. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to the next question. So they're saying solve for x without using a calculator. What an interesting question, guys. They want you to solve for x without using a calculator. Okay, so let me just write down the question. It's x to the exponent -3/4, which is equals to 8. Okay, remember, guys, I've said write down expression and equation. So let me just quickly explain to you the difference between these two, expression and equation. I won't go deep. I'll just encourage you to watch that lesson. Remember, guys, the first question wanted us to simplify fully. Okay, and now we are on a question where they want us to solve for x. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important that you understand the difference between the two. Okay, so if you've got an expression, okay, if you've got an expression, that's where you simplify. Very, very much important, guys. Please do make sure to note this information down. Okay, when you've got an expression, you simplify. That means when the question says simplify, it means they will give you an expression. Okay, so obviously if you've got an equation, this is where you solve. Very, very much important, guys. This is where you solve. So at all times, if there's something that you don't understand, guys, please do make sure to ask yourself some questions. As soon as you've asked yourself those questions, try to read some more. If you can just to check if you can be able to find answers to those questions. If you fail, please do go consult with your teacher. It might happen that based on how you structured your questions, maybe your teacher is not able to understand exactly what you're talking about. So this is why we've got platforms such as this one, which is solving exam papers, where I clarify all the questions that you might be having. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, how do you know that you are given an expression if they didn't say simplify? Okay, how do you know that you are given an equation if they didn't say solve? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, um you can have something like 2, let's say x plus 1. Okay, very very much important, guys. 2x plus 1, this is what we call an expression. Why is this an expression, ladies and gentlemen? It's because you don't have an equal sign. Okay, so what if I've got an equal sign? Then that means the whole of this could be equated to maybe 4. Okay, so for the sake of making it easy, because this is not really a question, I'm just trying to explain to you something. Let's just say can be equated to 5. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very much important. The moment when you see an equal sign, then it means this is an equation. Okay, so when you've got an equation, they will want you to solve. Okay, so if we do not have that equation, it means it's an expression. Okay, if it's an expression, then they will want you to simplify. Okay, so what we have done on question 2.1, we were simplifying. Okay, so we wanted to write that equation, that expression in its simplest form. Okay, very very much important, ladies and gentlemen. If you understand this part that I've explained so far, please make sure to like that video. If need be, you can just post a comment which will serve as an indication to me that you fully understand. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you must ask this type of questions to yourself to say, when they say solve, what is it exactly that they want me to solve? Okay, what am I solving when they say solve for x, for instance, in this case? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to quickly show you something here of which I think you will enjoy. Let's say you've got 2x, okay, plus 1. This is equated to 5. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what is this? This is an equation. Okay, so when we have an equation, we solve. What is it that we are solving, ladies and gentlemen? We solve for the unknown. Okay, what is the unknown? You should be able to ask this type of questions to yourself. Otherwise, in class, ask your teacher, when they say solve for x, what am I solving? Why am I solving? Okay, so I've just indicated that you solve for the unknown, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let's now try to interpret this equation. So it's more like they're saying, what number, when you multiply it by 2 and you add 1, it gives you 5. This is what this equation says, ladies and gentlemen. Very very much important. You should be able to interpret the given equation. You should be able to interpret the given expression. Okay, so when you solve, ladies and gentlemen, you're solving a letter which could be any letter from A up to Z. Okay, so in this case, I just chose to use X. What is X, guys? So X is our unknown. Okay, so that means the letter which could be A or any letter in between all up to Z is what we call an unknown. Okay, so an unknown has a value. Okay, that value could be anything it could be 0, it could be 0 comma something, it could be 1, all the way up to whatever number that you can think of. Okay, so this x represents a certain number that we want to know what is that number. Okay, very much important, guys. I know someone knows exactly what that number is, but you might fail to mathematically show or give an answer to that number. Okay, that's why we teach maths, so that you are able to represent answers mathematically. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So these are the stuff that they do, I think, in grade 7. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you solve for x, obviously someone already knows that x value, it's 2. Why? Because you know when you multiply 2 by 2, it gives you 4. That 4 plus 1, it gives you 5. Okay, very, very much important. Now we need to mathematically show how to get that 5. Okay, so this is 2x. You move that one to the other side of the equal sign, and most importantly, it changes a sign. Okay, so this is equals to 5 minus 1. Remember, it was positive, now it's minus 1. Okay, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Then you've got this as 4, okay, which is equals to 4. Then now you need to remove that 2, so that you want to remain with just x. Okay, remember, ladies and gentlemen, even someone who gets 0 in their maths test, who gets 0 in their exam, their maths exam papers, I am 100% sure that they will tell you that whatever that you do on the left, you do on the right, even though they don't have a better understanding of why they do exactly the same as they do on the left, as well as on the right. Okay, so obviously 4 divided by 2 is equals to 2. Okay, so can you see how you mathematically show that that answer is 2? Okay, that's why for each and every question it's allocated marks, and you score those marks for showing the steps. Okay, the necessary steps. And if you have shown these necessary steps, then they give you an answer for your final answer. So it's more like, now if you didn't show all of these steps in between and you just wrote 2, okay, it's more like you borrowed this answer from a friend next to you. Okay, so remember, we don't borrow the answers, but we solve and show how we got those answers. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. If you appreciate this part and you feel like we haven't, we didn't waste much of our time, please do make sure to just like this video. It serves as an indication that this type of information is very useful to you guys. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to this question. So remember, what are we doing, guys? We are solving. Why? Because we've got an equal sign there. Okay, so let's see. This is x to the exponent negative 3 over 4. Okay, can we write that number in exponential form? I think, ladies and gentlemen, 2 to the exponent 3, it's 8. Okay, if you are not sure, remember you used your head to come up with that expression. You didn't refer to the calculator, but you can still use the calculator to confirm if you're right. Okay, can you see 2 to the exponent 3 is equals to 8? So you just wrote this in that form. You haven't changed anything. Okay, you haven't tampered with the original equation. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the reason why you now have to do this step is because you want to just remain with x and tell us exactly how much that x is equals to. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's check. So x to the power negative 3 over 4, if you multiply by 4 over 3, but most importantly negative. Okay, why are you multiplying by the reciprocal of that same number? It's because you want this to cancel, that to cancel, this to cancel, that to cancel, negative and negative to cancel, so that you remain with x. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. I've just indicated that for someone who gets 0 in their classworks, 0 in their homeworks, 0 in their maths test, 0 in their maths exam test, they will tell you that exactly what you do on the left, you must do on the right. Okay, so for you, because you're watching this type of lessons, consider yourself lucky, because you will be understanding exactly why you do that on the left and also on the right. Okay, so remember, ladies and gentlemen, on the right you have 2 to the exponent 3. You must also multiply by negative 4 over 3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. I am actually requesting you to please allow me to say, it's very much important that I say, it's very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, because what I'm about to say is very, 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 very much important. Okay, listen to this. I always try to remember at all times that in each and every lesson I mention that a day without learning something new, it's a day wasted. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, by so saying, please make sure that by the end of each and every question, or by the end of this lesson, you've learned something new. Okay, so I'll leave it that way, guys. So let's now continue. We've got a 2 to the exponent 3 multiplied by that. Okay, so obviously, ladies and gentlemen, 3 is the same as 3 over 1. Okay, so if you've got 5, just know this is the same as 5 over 1. It doesn't matter whether it's in that position of power or it's in this position of the base. Okay, so that means this is also the same as over 1. Okay, so don't be surprised when I say this is the same as 3 over 1. Okay, so remember, this cancels, this cancels. Okay, so you're remaining with negative 4 over 1, which is the same as negative 4. So that means you've got 2 to the exponent negative 4. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, this question is allocated, I think it's 3 marks. Okay, so you must make sure to show all the steps. Okay, so you can further simplify this, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, guys, remember, if you've got a to the exponent negative 1, okay, this is the same as 1 over a to the exponent 1. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got x to the exponent negative y, okay, this is the same as what is it? This is the same as 1 over x to the exponent y. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that means this is the same as 1 over 2 to the exponent 4. Okay, so what is 1 over 2 to the exponent 4? You just need to know what is 2 to the exponent 4, ladies and gentlemen. What is that? So 2 to the exponent 4, I think it's 16 or something. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm correct. This is 16. So that means this is the same as 1 over 16. Okay, so if you want, again, you can write that step as 1, not necessarily as 1, but 16 to the exponent negative 1, because you know 2 to the exponent 4, it's equals to 16. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I assume you fully understood and you've learned something out of this question. Okay, so where do we give you some marks? Okay, I think they can just give you a mark there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, very, very much important. You've worked hard. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you a mark there. Okay, so it doesn't really matter if you wrote it this way or that way. Okay, whichever way, we just give you a mark. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So this is how you answer question 2.2.1. okay, guys, can I quickly show you something? Can I quickly show you something, ladies and gentlemen, in American accent? You know those guys, they would say, let me tell you something. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly show you something. So we are saying the x value there, we are saying the x value is equals to 1 over 16. Okay, what if we substitute 1 over 16 in place of x? Are we going to get 8 as an answer when we substitute? Let's give it a try. Into 1 over 16, you close bracket to the exponent -3 divided by 4. So what I'm saying is, when I punch an equal sign, I should get 8. If I don't get 8, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just quickly going to collapse, okay? Can you see, guys? So that means our answer is 100% correct. Okay, why is it correct? Because in place of x, when we substitute 8 there and punch all of this on a calculator, we get 8. Okay, so that's what I meant when I was saying we solve for the unknown, of which in this case the unknown is x. We want to know the actual value of that x, which is 1 over 16. So that means when we substitute it there and punch all of this, we should get 8 as an answer, because the whole of this, it's equals to just that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. So now let me just erase all of that. I assume everything makes sense. If you've got a glass of water, this is that opportunity for you guys to just quickly have a glass of water. So now let's move to the next question. So I'm just quickly going to punch some confidential stuff there. So ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the next question, which is 2.2.2. 4 to the exponent x minus 2 to the exponent x, it's equals to 2. Okay, and this question, let's see, it's allocated 4 marks. Very, very much interesting question. So we're still on question 2.2, and now we're doing question 2.2.2. Okay, so the question is 4 to the exponent x minus 2 to the exponent x, which is equals to 2. And this question, it's allocated 4 marks. Good people, not because it's allocated 4 marks, then it means it's difficult, okay? You just need to apply your mind. You just need to have the right approach in place, okay? Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now, let's check. Our first step, we can just move everything to the left and equate this to 0, and again simplify what is simplifiable. Okay, so we know, guys, 4 is the same as 2 to the exponent 2, isn't it? So that means here we have 2 to the exponent 2. Remember that x minus 2 to the exponent x minus 2, obviously is 1 there, it's equals to 0. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like we are now at that stage where we can try to factorize, okay? But what matters the most in this case, you must make sure that whatever factors that you get, they must take you back to that equation, okay? So now let's try to have a look and see if we can manage, okay? So now let's try to come up with the factors that can give us that number when multiplied together. What if we have 2 to the exponent 2 by 2 to the exponent 2? Okay, so let's see. When you multiply this 2, you're going to have 2x times 2x. Okay, so because the bases are the same, that means you add the exponents. So you've got 2x plus x plus x. So x plus x, it's equals to 2x. So that means you have 2x. So ladies and gentlemen, can you see? That means these two, they are the right or the correct factors. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's move to that one. What is it that you can multiply by those, whatever they are, and give you 2? One thing for sure I know, ladies and gentlemen, I know very well that if you multiply 2 by 1, it gives you what is it? It gives you 2, isn't it? That's one thing for sure. So now the other issue is the sign. Okay, what if we have a minus there and a minus there. When we multiply minus 1 times minus 2, does it give us negative 2? No, it doesn't, unfortunately. So that means one of these two should be a positive. Okay, so let's maybe try to make that one a positive. Okay, so now that you've made it a positive, test if it will give you all of that. If it doesn't, then try to make it negative and make that 2 positive. Okay, so let's see. Obviously, when you multiply these two, they give you that. When you multiply this times that, it becomes negative 2 times 2 to the exponent x. When you multiply this times that, it gives you a positive 1 of 2 to the exponent x. Or I can just write it that way so that it makes sense. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, remember, we want to see if in the middle we're going to have that term, if we've got a positive 1 and a negative 2. Okay, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So it's more like you've got negative 2 of this and 1 of this. So if you punch on a calculator, minus 2 plus 1, it gives you negative 1. Negative 1 of what? Of 2 to the exponent x. Okay, so because it's just 1, then it means it's the same as negative 2 to the exponent x. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that means our factors are 100% correct. Okay, so it was just a guess for me to make that one positive. Otherwise, I could have made it negative and make this 2 a positive and try to check if it takes me back to that. So obviously it wasn't going to take me back to that. I was going to then now make this negative and that positive. Okay, so obviously, you know, after finding the factors, you just equate to 0. Okay, plus 1 is equals to 0. Then you have 2 to the exponent x minus 2, it's equals to 0. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's check. Obviously, you've got 2 to the exponent x, you move it to the left, then it changes the sign and it becomes negative 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's also do the same on this side. We've got 2 to the exponent x, which is equals to positive 2. Okay, so guys, can you see? Remember, we've got our unknown in position of the power, or up there it's floating in the position of the exponents. Okay, so obviously, because now this thing is equated to a negative 1, we are having an issue there. We are having a problem of which this thing can never be equals to negative 1. Why? Firstly, because the bases are not even the same. Can you see, guys? It doesn't really matter if you assume the exponent to be whatever number that it could be, such that when you work it out, it takes you back to negative 1. For the fact that the bases are not the same, then it means this thing can never be equals to that. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. That stroke crossing the x sign, I mean an equal sign, is very, very much important. Okay, so it means even though we got the factors, we won't have two values of x for this problem. Okay, so now I think there it's promising. You can see we've got the bases are the same. You know that exponent is 1, so that means the x value there is equals to 1. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So this brings us to the end of this question. So that means we've got these two as answers, and again remember 2 to the exponent x will never be equals to negative 1. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's check exactly where we score some marks. Okay, so we can just give you a mark, ladies and gentlemen, for equating all of that to 0. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, for you to get the factors, the correct factors. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, the correct factors. Okay, we give you a mark. We also give you a mark for the final answer. For the fact that you indicated that it will never be equal to negative 1, we give you a mark. Okay, you might not score a mark if you don't have that stroke there. So I assume you fully understand why you should have that stroke crossing an equal sign over there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. I assume you've learned something out of this lesson. Okay, so now let's move to the next question. Remember, don't worry if I've erased information. If I've erased this information too quickly, I'm going to make this lesson available online as soon as we're done. Then you can just replay it over and over again. Okay, so now let's move to the next question. I'm not sure if it's 2 point. Okay, no, it's not 2.2.3, but instead it's just 2.3. Okay, so they're saying if x is equals to that. Let me just try to zoom, just to zoom in so that you're able to see. Remember, guys, if you're not able to see clearly on my screen, I think on the screen of your either tablet or your phone, somewhere there, you've got those 1, 2, 3 dots. Okay, just click those 3 dots, and then from there, click on quality, then go down there. There should be advanced, then click on maximum quality. I'm not sure if it's 380 or 480. 480p. Okay, you can just click the maximum, then it's going to quickly adjust the quality and you'll be able to see on the screen of my tablet. Otherwise, I'll just write down the question on the board so that you're able to see. Okay, so they're saying if x is equals to 3 minus square root of a all over square root of 2 and y is equals to 4 plus square root of a over square root of 2, determine the value of into x plus y close squared. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. This question paper, it's posted on my Telegram channel. You can easily access it. So this question is allocated 3 marks. Okay, so question 2.3, they want you to determine the value of x plus y squared. Okay, and this question, it's allocated 3 marks. So for the fact that it's allocated 3 marks, guys, it's not that much complicated. Okay, it's straightforward. So you just substitute your x and your y value by that information that you're given. Okay, very, very much important, guys. They said x is 3 to the exponent a over square root of 2. Okay, and then in between you've got that positive sign, and then we just substitute with y. Okay, y, which is 4 plus square root of a all over square root of 2. Remember to close and square. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now what you need to do is to simplify. Okay, it's either you simplify or write this in different forms. So it's of highly importance that you know how to write the given expression in its reverse form. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, remember, when you've got 1 plus 2 all over 2, this thing is the same as 1 over that 2 plus that plus 2 over 2. Okay, just try to punch this and also punch this on a calculator and comment if you get the same answer. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, can we try to apply that rule here? So that means we've got 3 square root of 2 minus a over square root of 2. Can you see, guys? This is just part. This is just that part is the same as the whole of this. Okay, so now I'm on that plus there. So I'm saying this is the same as 4 over 2 plus, this is that plus square root of a over square root of 2. I close, then squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now, can you see this thing and that thing? It's one and the same thing. I'm not sure if you're able to notice, guys. The only difference is that this is a minus and this is a plus. Okay, so it's more like, is this minus this? Okay, or is negative this plus that? You know it's equals to 0, guys. Assuming that this was maybe 2, it should also be 2 because it's the same thing. Just say on a calculator minus 2 plus 2. Okay, it's going to give you 0. That's why we can just cancel them out. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. what are you remaining with? Then you're remaining with 3 over square root of 2. What else? You have that 4 over square root of 2 you square. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very much important that you are able to write every information in its reverse form. Okay, so remember, now we are going back to where we came from. So can we write this thing in that form, ladies and gentlemen? So I hope you'll agree with me that this thing is the same as 3 plus 7 all over square root of 2. Always remember that square. Why am I writing it this way, ladies and gentlemen? It's because the bases are the same, or not necessarily the bases, but the denominators are the same. Okay, so that means this thing is the same as what is it? No, this is 4. Remember, this is 4. I think I've already, because I already know where I'm going, so I'm already writing the answers. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means this thing is the same as 3 plus 4, which is 7 over square root of 2, and then you squared. Okay, I'm not sure if you agree with me on that one. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is that rule which says A over B squared. This thing is the same as A squared B squared. Okay, so we just apply the same rule also. So that means 7 squared and then a square root of 2 squared. We know a squared removes the square root. Then you've got 7 to the exponent 2. So you just pull out your calculator and punch 7 squared. You get 49. Okay, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that means this is the same as 49 over 2. Okay, so that means this is your final answer, because 49 into 2, it just remains as it is. I think even when you punch on a calculator, it will just remain as it is. Can you see? So very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say exactly where you score some marks. Okay, remember this question is allocated 3 marks. Okay, so I think this is where they can give you a mark just for correct substitution. Okay, and this is also where they can give you a mark for expanding all of that. Okay, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously your final answer will be allocated a mark. Okay, so I assume you fully understood that question, guys. Remember, guys, if you feel like I'm moving too fast, or if you feel like I'm too confusing, please do make sure to indicate so that I'm aware of that. But otherwise, if all is in order, please also feel free to just indicate that all is in order. I'm not losing you along the way. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to I just want to make sure that I don't have a lot of ink there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very much important. Let's now move to the next question. I'm not sure if this is the last question. I think this is the last question, ladies and gentlemen. So it's 2.4. The question says, show without using a calculator that the whole of this is equals to 120. Okay, and this question is allocated 4 marks. What an interesting question, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. Okay, so this is 2.4. Remember guys, you don't need to write anything. You can just have a look at how I answer these questions. Then in the end of this lesson, you can try to replay this lesson so that you fully understand and learn those extra lessons. Okay, so we've got 12 square root of 10. Okay, this is multiplied by 6. Square root of 640. This is multiplied by 4. Square root of 880. This is multiplied by square root of 40. And they say we must show that this is equals to 120 without using a calculator. Very interesting, guys. So that's why I was saying I want to teach you on how to get away with this without, with you using the calculator. So in short, according to me, when they say without using a calculator, they are simply saying don't punch all of that and find 180 and just write 108. Okay, so according to me, the other way of saying without using a calculator is that show all the steps, okay, because that 4 marks, it's allocated those steps in between the final answer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our first step. Okay, so this thing, ladies and gentlemen, we can just leave it as it is for now, or otherwise, just so that you've got an idea of what's going on, this thing is the same as 10 to the exponent 1 over 12. Okay, so when you have maybe 3 to the exponent, let's say x, this thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the same as x. Remember, there is 1. That's why it's 1 over that 3 there. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if we've got 7 square root of 9 to the exponent 2. Okay, so guys, this is 9, this is that 2 which is there over that 7 there. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to teach you something of which I assume you were not aware of. Let me make sure that it's clear. Okay, guys, why do you remove a square root by a squared? Okay, so when you have square root of, let's say, 5, okay, so there's a 2 there which is not written. Okay, just like when you've got 5 or when you've got x, we know there's a 1 there which is not written. There's a 1 there which is not written. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that means you've got a 1 there which we can just decide not to write. Okay, so that means also that 2, we don't really need to write it. Okay, but you must know there's a 2 there. So this thing is the same as 5 to the exponent 1, which is that 1 over 2, which there's no need to write that 2 there. Okay, so that means this thing is one and the same thing. Okay, that's why when you remove a square root by a squared, okay, it's because, remember, this is the same. Okay, it's because you multiply by 2 so that it cancels out and you remain with just 5. Okay, taking into account that what you do on the left you also do on the right. That's if this was an equation. Let's say, for instance, that a square root of 5 was maybe equals to 2. Okay, so you would square both sides, then it removes, and then you've got 2 to the exponent that, which is equals to 4. But obviously inside the brackets you wouldn't have 5. It could be maybe x, a, b, c, d, or any letter up to y, so that you give the exact value of that unknown. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've learned something out of this question. Okay, so now let's use the calculator to punch that. Okay, remember, I've just indicated that for now we can leave it as 12 to the exponent 10. Okay, so let's punch square root of 640 and see what we get. So we've got 640, so it gives us 8. Okay, let me do this. I haven't forgotten about that 6 there, but I just wanted to punch square root of 640, so this is the same as 8 square root of 10. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this thing is the same as square root of what is it? It doesn't really matter which one you write first, but it's the same as square root of 10 multiplied by 8 squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So this thing is the same as square root of 8 squared multiplied by square root of 10. Okay, so remember, because of that squared, it removes that square root. Okay, that's why you remain with 8 square root of 10, which is that. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now if you fully understand this part, then you are done with this question, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as you see how I solve that question, you will be very much excited. I can promise you that. So that means this is the same as 6 square root of let's say 10 times 8 squared. Okay, we also do the same on this side. We just punch a square root of 810, which is equals to, can you see it's 9 square root of 10? We just notice that is the same as 10 multiplied by 9 squared. Okay, then we do the same there. We can just punch square root of 40, which is also 10 multiplied by 2 squared. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. Please do try to punch all of that and see if you get all of these values that I'm writing there. Okay, so now let's see. We can then now write all of this in different form. Okay, so remember, we can still write that one as it is. We cannot further simplify that part. Okay, so it's square root of it's 12 square root of 10, and then we can now, I think, let me see, we can just try to simplify all of this in one of those forms. You remember I've explained that, for example, this thing, it's the same as 6 square root of 10. Okay, it's that part. So you multiply the same 6, then it's square root of 8 squared. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. Okay, so now you multiply, you do that part. So this thing is the same as 4 square root of 10 multiplied by 4 square root of what is it, 9 squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. There you don't have anything there, so you just write square root of 10 multiplied by square root of 2 squared. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important. So now, guys, let's now do something. Okay, what is that something? Can you see? We've got that square root of 10, we've got that square root of 10. So let's write everything in exponential form. So that means this is the same as 10 to the exponent 1 over 12. Okay, multiplied by, this is the same as 10 to the exponent 1 over 6, which is that 6. Okay, so this is the same as 8 to the exponent 2 over 6, which is that 6. Okay, so can you see why I had to show you that part, ladies and gentlemen? It's so that you fully understand as I continue with this question. Okay, so where are we? I think we are there. Then that means you've got 10 to the exponent 1 over 4. Remember, is that 1 there, and this is that 4. Okay, multiplied by, here we've got 9 to the exponent that 2 over, this is that 4. Okay, so now you multiplied by 10. Remember, there's a 2 there. There's no need for us to write 2, just like there's a 1 there. No need for us to write 1, but you know it's to the exponent 1 over 2. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Now you've got 2. You have that 2, which is that 2 there, over, you have 2 there from that square root. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, remember the basic rule that I've just taught in the beginning of this lesson, that when you've got a to the exponent m multiplied by a to the exponent n, this is the same as a to the exponent m plus n. So in short, ladies and gentlemen, if we had maybe a again there, z, then we just add z. What are we doing? We just add these exponents, okay, because the bases are the same. Ladies and gentlemen, we apply the same rule where possible. Okay, so can you see? We've got the bases 10, bases 10, bases 10, bases 10. Okay, how about we say 10 to the exponent 1 over 12, okay, plus 1 over 6, which is that one. We're just adding the exponents. There we've got 1 over 4, okay. There we've got 1 over 2, ladies and gentlemen. Then you can multiply by this other stuff. Okay, so this is the same as 8 to the exponent, let's see, what is, remember, ladies and gentlemen, I just noticed something. Remember, we are there where we've got 8 to the exponent 2 over 6. Okay, remember 8 is the same as 2 to the exponent 3, and you still have what is it? You still have that 6 there. I should have actually showed you when before I even started with that step. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that, let me just do it this way so that you fully understand where I'm coming from. So before I even write this step, I should have explained what I'm about to explain to you now. Okay, so 8 to the exponent 2 is the same as what is it? It should be 2 to the exponent 3. Okay, so um, remember, you've got that 2 there. Okay, so inside is that 8 to the exponent that 2. So what is 2 times 3? It's equals to 6. So it's more like you've got 2 to the exponent 6. Okay, so that means 8 squared is the same as 2 multiplied by 6. Okay, so this is what I was supposed to have there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if I didn't write it that way, I was going to lose some marks. It's only that I want to make it so simple such that everyone who's watching this lesson fully understands what's going on. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, remember you have 6 square root of that. Okay, sorry, just like you can see there, you've got that 6. Okay, so that means this thing is the same as 6 over 2. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to write it on this step. I think if we have a similar situation there, I'll just explain so that you understand. So that means we have 2 to the exponent 6 over 6. Okay, so let's check. What else have we got? Can you see we've got 9 there? So where is that 9 coming from? It's coming from that one there. So it means it's 9 squared, and then we've got 4 there. We've got square root. Okay, so let's work out this thing inside the square root. So we know 9 is equals to x squared. Okay, and remember, this is that squared. This is 9, this is that squared. This is 9, this is the squared. Okay, so 2 times 2 is equals to 4, isn't it? So that means we've got 3 to the exponent 4, and we've got 4 there and square root. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important that you understand this part. Okay, so now that means the whole of this is the same as 3 to the exponent that 4 over this 4. Okay, so I assume you now fully understand. Remember, guys, I'm going to make this lesson available as soon as we are done with this class. So you now multiply by what was it, ladies and gentlemen? Was it 3 to the exponent 4 over 4? Okay, so let's check. Is there something that we forgot? I think that 2 there. Okay, because we just did that 9. Okay, so you multiply by, this is just 2 to the exponent that 2 over that 2 which is hidden there. Okay, oh, there you go. It's the same as that one. Okay, so now on your next step, ladies and gentlemen, you just need to work out all of this without you having to use a calculator. I won't teach you this thing. Why? Because I'm sure even grade 2 learners, they know how to work out this thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's where you must use the rules regarding fractions. Okay, I can tell you this is going to be 12 over 12. So I'm giving you a homework to prove that the whole of this is equals to 12 over 12. Okay, so you multiply all of this. This is just 6 divided by 6 is 1. So it's the same as 2 to the exponent 1 multiplied by, this is just 3 to the exponent 1 multiplied by, this is also the same as 2 to the exponent 1. Okay, so can you see, guys, 12 divided by 12 is the same as 1. Okay, so that means it's 10 to the exponent 1 multiplied by, what is 2 times 3? It's 6. 6 times 2 is equals to 12. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, as your final answer, you can see, let me just write it then, say a 10 multiplied by 12 is equals to 120. So can you see, this is a proof that the whole of this that we've been working on is the same as the right hand side, and we've done that without using a calculator. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, they can just give you a mark for that step. Okay, remember, it doesn't really matter if you've done everything correctly, you're going to get all the marks. Okay, so they can also give you a mark for that step, they can also give you a mark for this step, and again for showing that the left hand side is equals to the right hand side, they can just give you a mark. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I hope you've learned a lot out of this lesson, and I wish you all the best with your exams. If you really enjoyed this lesson and you've watched until the end, please, 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 please make sure to like this video. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do make sure to subscribe and join our family. So guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. My name is Desmond, and I'm out.